Mike Pence is the man who's been put in charge nationally of protecting us from the spread of coronavirus. And he was recently interviewed by Jake Tapper. And one of the topics that was brought up was the partisanship around this topic, the attacks involving coronavirus. And he's gonna have to respond to one, I would say one of the most vicious attacks involving this disease from the president's son.
To try to take a pandemic and seemingly hope that it comes here and kills millions of people so that they could end Donald Trump's streak of winning is a new level of sickness.
Can we agree that neither Democrats nor Republicans want Americans to get the coronavirus and die from it? I mean, that does seem like it seems like very extreme rhetoric. I don't expect you to criticize the president's son, but you don't think that Democrats want people to contract this disease, do you?
Well, I think what the president said earlier this week, and his charge to me is to remind the American people that the risk is low, to assure the American people that we're ready, but also to say, as the president said, this is no time for politics. And frankly, I think that was Don Jr.'s point, that there has been some very strong rhetoric directed at the president by some members of Congress and
you don't think that was strong rhetoric?
Well,
he said seemingly Democrats want millions of Americans to die of coronavirus.
But responding to the kind of things that have been hurled is understandable. But
okay, and so I have multiple things I want to say. Overall, I would say there are a lot of words I would like to scream at Mike Pence right now that I am not allowed to, but rest assured I am thinking them. I will say screw Mike Pence. He's absolutely the worst. That was an embarrassing, pathetic performance that gives me even less faith that he's the sort of person who will seriously protect us from the possible spread of a deadly disease inside of our country. He was asked a very, 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 very simple question. Do the Democrats want millions of people to die? And he said, well, I think what Don Jr. was saying, no. What Don Jr. said was there are Democrats and people in the media that want millions to die. Do you agree with that or do you not? Does anyone, let's go wider, does anyone want millions of people to die? No, that is a ridiculous, horrific thing to say. And he wouldn't admit as much. And honestly, I'm glad that Jake Tapper asked the questions, but I'm frustrated with Jake Tapper too, because you did allow him to weasel his way out of criticizing the president's son. And by the way, Jake Tapper said, I don't expect you to criticize the president's son. Why? Why? He's not a 14-year-old, he's not a private citizen. He's the president's loser kid, that's all he is. We are not in some petty tin pot family dictatorship. We're in what is supposed to be a democratic republic, where simply being related to someone by blood doesn't give you any sort of protection from criticism, particularly when you say something as bloodthirsty and bombastic and insane as Democrats want millions of people to die. Don Jr. is not involved in politics. He's supposed to be off just doing the whole business thing. You remember that's why they didn't have to divest themselves, because Eric and Don were just gonna do the business stuff. But instead, he's calling into Fox News to attack the Democrats while supposedly decrying the spread of partisanship over the coronavirus. He said he is against that while claiming on state TV that the Democrats want millions of people to die. And Mike Pence can't even say, well, look, obviously nobody actually wants millions to die. The president's son is off base there. And look, honestly, if he had said that, what would have happened? He potentially would have been kicked out of his position by Donald Trump, who doesn't allow for any sort of criticism of his family like that. Now, here's the thing. Obviously, Mike Pence is insane. That was ridiculous. But you do have people politicizing this disease. It is simply the case that that's true. Mike Pence went on in that comment to say, well, overall the issue is that the left wing is using this. Did you see Trump's rally a few days ago where he attacked the Democrats specifically around the coronavirus over and over and over again? What about this? I'm gonna show you a video clip. And the reason I'm showing it is you're probably not even gonna see it very much. It was just a casual answer to a question. And even inside of that, he could not help but politicize coronavirus for his own political ends. Here's the president.
President, is it safe or appropriate to be holding rallies during a public health crisis like this?
Well, these were set up a long time ago and others are. I mean, you could ask that to the Democrats because they're having a lot of rallies. They're all having rallies. That's what they're doing. They're campaigning.
But do you think it's safe? Are you worried at all?
I think it's very safe, yeah. I think it's very safe.
He was asked a very simple question. should you be having massive rallies when there's a fear of the coronavirus spreading? And he said, well, why don't you ask the Democrats that? They're having rallies. Mine was from a long time ago, but they're doing rallies. They're campaigning. Why don't you ask them? Well, first of all, they probably will ask them. They'll get to that. But he can't, there was nothing, there wasn't an attack against him. They didn't mention the Democrats. They didn't mention the election. They just mentioned the fact that he is doing these massive rallies. And he had to attack the Democrats over it. So spare me your tears over politicization of this issue. They're doing it on a daily basis. By the way, like here's the thing. There's a very simple answer to the question that he was asked. You know what? I appreciate that question. Obviously, I, like all people, are concerned about the possible spread of this disease. And I'm going to say that while we do have to take all the proper and necessary precautions to make sure that people don't come down with coronavirus, at the same time, we do have to have a sober, reasonable view of what's happening. And while there have been cases in the United States, it is still extremely rare. And I, as president, don't want people to feel like they can't go about their lives. And so until we know otherwise, yes, we're gonna proceed with our rallies. We're gonna make sure that people are safe there. But as of right now, I feel like it is safe for you to go to malls, to go to ball games, to do all of those things. I don't want America to grind to a halt just because some people have unfortunately been struck with a terrible disease that we're doing everything we can to respond to. That's what an actual serious politician could say. That's what a serious adult could say. But instead, our petulant child of a president turned it into an attack against Democrats. For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.